Mites are a nightmare that almost all reptile keepers will encounter at some point. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to treat mites fast with a very simple method. Now the best way to effectively prevent or manage mites is by properly quarantining your animals. Mites typically infect our collections by coming in on a new animal we've just brought in. Mites move fast, and if you can treat one animal that's away from everything else, it's a whole lot easier than treating the entire collection. Mites can be incredibly difficult to see. Usually you'll see tiny little black dots moving all over the animal, and if not, you'll actually see white speckling all over the animal as well. Now the white specks are actually the fecal matter of the mites. I've found the best way to identify mites if I'm not sure is to grab a bit of paper towel, wipe over the animal with it, and you'll be able to see the black dots much easier. So after you've identified your animal has mites, the first thing you want to do is grab some sort of tub, fill it with a little bit of water, and place your animal inside. Now you don't need much water at all. It would be exactly the same as if you're going to give the animal a soak, just so we can help wash off some of those mites. Now while the animal is soaking, you can put a lid on that or whatever you like. Go and clean out its enclosure. Get any loose substrate out and change it over to paper. Give it a good hit, make sure everything's out of there, wash it off if you need to, get all the mites out, and just on paper. By the time you come back, you should see many mites floating on top of the water, drowning, and if some are still sticking onto the animal, you can actually use some detergent, make the water a bit soapy, and that'll help them slip off the animal. From there, we can take the animal out, dry it off, and get it ready for treatment. Now in treating mites, there's a whole host of different products you can use, but the most important thing is to break the life cycle. Mites can reproduce fast and lay a lot of eggs, and the eggs are even harder to kill than the mice. So you may kill off all the mites that your animal's infected with, but after a certain amount of time, the new eggs will hatch and it'll just reinfect everything. Now there's a lot of different products on the market you can use for treating mites. There's multiple different sorts of aerosol sprays and things which people use a lot with lots of mixed results. I don't really trust them, I don't really use it, just because of those inconsistencies. What I like to use is something you can actually apply right to the animal where the mites die instantly. And using something you can apply directly to the animal speeds up the process and makes it a lot easier. For that reason, I use and recommend the Frontline spray. Now what's great about this stuff is you can find it almost anywhere. It's in pet shops, it's a very common product because it's actually used for cats and dogs. Now when it comes to the world of pet supplies, cats and dogs rule that market. So if it's aimed towards them, you know it's going to be easy to find. Now the Frontline method is so easy because all you have to do is put on some gloves, spray down your hands with the Frontline, pick up your animal, and then simply smear solution all over the animal. Obviously avoiding the eyes and the mouth. You don't want any to get in there. But letting it all get over every part of that animal so it can have complete protection from those mites. Now because it's alcohol based, it'll actually evaporate very quickly and it'll be stuck to the animal's scales. So after a few minutes of drying and letting all those fumes dissipate off the animal, it's ready to go back into its nice sterile setup to keep any mites from coming in. And if any do come in or hatch from any eggs or anything like that, they're going to die as soon as they touch this animal and try and reinfect it. Now for the first 24 hours after applying that solution to the animal, I'd actually have the water bowl out of the enclosure just so none of that residue gets off from the animal into the water and it doesn't drink it. After that, it can be totally fine. And then maybe about after a week you can repeat the whole process again. I've only ever had to apply the Frontline twice to the animal in order to kill the cycle of the mites, but some people do it 3 or 4 times with great success as well. And this method is so fast and effective because you actually treat the animal, you actually apply the solution to the animal. You don't just spray down its enclosure and hope things go away. It's a very effective treatment and it's worked amazing for me. Now of course if you have more than one animal with mites, you're going to have to do this process for every single animal and its enclosure. Now there's many different ways to treat mites, this is just how I do it. If you guys have treated mites before, leave any suggestions in the comments below. Otherwise thanks for watching, subscribe for future videos, we'll see you next time.